Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to the Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. I'm here at Factory X down in Englewood, Colorado with my man, Iron Mike Barnett, as well as the machine, Justin Osborn. Fellas, how you doing tonight?
Doing well, man. We just finished training at Ludwig Martial Arts, so a little sweaty. We got 2 sessions in there today. We did a private this morning with their new instructors, Coach Seth, and then we just finished up a kickboxing class taught by Bang. So it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So what was it like, getting to? Because I mean, you're here just on short trip, right?
Yeah.
How was it, getting to do a class with somebody like Dwayne?
Man, it's awesome because I'm a big fan of Bang. Like I've been a big fan of him since he was fighting. I was a big fan of him when he was watching those guys when he was coaching those guys at Alpha Male. And, I was a big fan of his work, when he started working with TJ exclusively after their breakup or whatever. Just because, man, for me, the Barao Dillashaw fight, the first one, is if Sarah GSP is upset, 1, Barao Dillashaw is 1A for, greatest upsets in UFC history, man. I mean, that nobody expected that. TJ was a late fill-in, injury replacement. He was a marginal fighter really up to that point. I mean, he was a good wrestler. Everybody knew he worked hard. He was a young guy, but nobody expected that. Barao was on a 30-fight win streak, hadn't lost in 10 years. Dana was calling him the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. I mean, everything was there for Barao to just walk over TJ. And TJ came out round 1 fucking almost into the fight right then.
You're right. Yep.
And then just beat on him. It wasn't even really a fight after that.
I've said this about Barao and about fighting in general. There are some fights where guys get the fight beaten out of them, and Barao never came back the same after that fight.
No.
Even the fight before he rematched TJ against Mitch Gagnon, he was very conservative. He finished him with an arm triangle, but the old Barao would have came out and finished him in the first round.
He was gone.
But the same Barao, the same fire and ferocity, and I'm gonna come forward and I'm headhunting you,
Mm-hmm. I'm
stalking you down. It never existed again.
No. TJ killed that guy.
Oh, yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure. I mean, and you could see it. There people talk about, you could see it in his eyes, and he may have been concussed, but you could see in his eyes the rest of that fight that Barao did not want to be in there. He didn't. It showed in his eyes and it showed in his face. He didn't want to be in there, and that was, for me, that was just insane. Because like I said, nobody was expecting TJ to do that, especially that way, right? If TJ came in there and wrestled him up and held him down,
maybe he caught him with that overhand right and finished him in the first round. They were like, he caught him with one shot in the first round, blah blah blah. But to beat him down like that, it proved without a doubt who the better fighter was.
Exactly, there was no doubt in who the better fighter was. And then to go back and then do it a second time, right? When Barao came back in there, but like Justin already said, he wasn't the same guy anymore. So learning from the guy that taught TJ that, and then it wasn't even that long. It was like 2 years maybe, right? That TJ went from marginal, mid-level, UFC fighter, right? He's a good fighter, but to world champion, world class, just in the pound for pound.
Catapulted.
Just like you said, like a catapult, man. Just shot him up with his ability level. So to learn from Bang, for me, was really, really cool.
That's awesome.
And his style's based in the Dutch style kickboxing anyway. And that's kind of what I've been taught my whole career anyway. So going into it, learning the footwork of it is something that I like the way they fight, and it was awesome to learn it straight from him. So yeah, I think we had a great time.
That's awesome. The boss system is tried and true.
Yeah.
Across the board. I got to meet Bang at your fight actually.
Yeah.
When he was walking through, I was just like, holy shit, that's Dwayne Ludwig walking right in front of me, and then he's just like, hey man, what's up? Shook his hand, gave me a hug right there, said thanks for coming out to the fight. So seemed like a really cool dude. But
yeah.
With TJ on that side of things, it's incredible to me where he's been able to, I guess, develop his movement. The angles that he creates are just unreal. And watching their Instagram videos and just showing some of their training sessions, you see they have a lot of high level guys there in general, But then you see TJ go when they're going through some of their different flows and just different mitt drills and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he just has a different kind of something to him. Sometimes when he's going low to high and throwing some of those kicks and those combos.
Yeah.
And the dude is got incredible wrestling as his base in the first place before he even started all that.
Right.
So it's probably one of the best experiences I'm sure to study from a world
For sure.
champion.
And then
doing this.
my base was wrestling too. My biggest thing is footwork. So going into it and then learning it, like we were doing the flows this morning on the mitts, man, and it was just awesome because a lot of it for both of us came really naturally because had been training in Alabama at Port City MMA for a long time when Justin came. So I was, helping Justin along when he first started out. And so that's what Justin started out as. And like he's 6 foot lightweight, right? A lot of 6 feet people 6 feet tall, they don't have that same kind of footwork, especially at that weight, right? Like a lot of 6 feet guys, 170 and up. They're still good athletes. But Justin can do it. Justin is 6 foot, but he has like the footwork of somebody who's like 5'7", 5'8". So like it was really good for him just because he can use his length and size and then also speed and athleticism, man. It was awesome.
Yeah. And I was gonna touch on it too. Combined with your Golden Gloves boxing background, Mike's just a different animal with that.
It was awesome.
This right here, he's this bastard right here is responsible for giving me my first cauliflower ear because he kept hitting me with this left hook right on the money.
It's for all the body kicks, man. It's payback, man. So we're even. He
kind of weighs itself out, right?
Weighs itself out,
yeah.
Sure. So Mike, tell everybody a little bit more about yourself, man. We're fighting out of Port City, Alabama, still.
Yeah, we still fight at Port City MMA, Mobile, Alabama. Our head instructor is James Mills, Jimmy Cornbread Mills. He's trained under Ramon Deckers in Holland, so that's our main instructor. We've got now Randy El Papi James. He trained under Jimmy as well, and also under Johnny Smith, who is an undefeated professional boxer from Mobile. Personally, I'm originally from California, and I moved to Alabama to go to college. So I've been back and forth now between Alabama and California some. I've trained a lot with Team Quest, Sam Alvey, Dan Henderson, all those guys. I spent a little bit of time at Alliance down in San Diego. I was living there for a little bit. I trained at the Arena MMA in San Diego as well. I went to King's twice. Went to King's MMA for a couple classes. I got to meet and train under Rafael Cordero. That was really cool. And I've been to yeah, so I've been training. I've trained around, trained a lot of high-level guys. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, I wrestled in high school 2 years. As a senior, I finished second in my league, which is like districts, I think, in most places, maybe. And then I finished 10th or 12th in my CIF, which is like maybe sectionals. I don't know how they do it in other states, but in California, you got your league, and then your CIF Southern Section, and then you go Masters and then State, right? I made it to sectionals, and I finished 12th, and I think they took the top 10. But that was only 2 years of wrestling, man. I had never wrestled before, so I got a lot out of it. I have a degree in criminal justice. I'm a Mobile police officer, so that's why I started doing all this, really. It's just to kind of have something to help me on the street. And then I took a fight, found out I had a talent for it, and kind of fell in love with it. I was a 3-time amateur champion out of Mississippi, Florida, and Louisiana, down in New Orleans.
All same weight class?
Yeah, all same weight, lightweight. Lightweight champ for Island Fights as an amateur, for Renaissance MMA as an amateur, and for Fight Force International in Mississippi as the amateur. 4-1 now as a pro with 2 knockouts and a submission. Yeah, 3 finishes in my 4 wins. So I was recently supposed to fight for the Gulf Coast Fighting Alliance featherweight pro belt, but there's a new promotion, and the promoter didn't take care of all of his business, so our fights fell through kind of last minute. It's like super
day of.
Like 30 minutes before the show was about to start. It's like super disappointing.
You were shitting me.
Nah, man. I had already cut weight. Me and my guys had cut weight.
Oh,
We were like, we were in the back. We actually had just started warming up the first guy that was gonna fight on the show, man. And then they come back and like, so we have some bad news, guys. The fight's canceled. And we're like, are you kidding, bro?
How?
How did we get
point?
here, dude? How did we get here? You know,
and what was messed up about it too was like there hadn't been fights in Mobile since Titan FC was there, like 2 years before.
No, more than that. More than that. Like 3 or 4 years ago.
When our boy Kurt fought on that. So I was
shout out Kurt Hurlebach.
So I was excited, to see that, to see fights at the Mitchell Center at our alma mater, South Alabama, and then to get the curtain pulled on us like that was just it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Because that venue is perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And it's right on campus.
Yeah, it's the basketball arena is the Mitchell Center at University of South Alabama. Go Jags. And the cage was in the middle, so everybody was like looking down. They had made the fight poster. They had put it on the electronic billboard out there, man. So everybody's driving by, seeing my face on the billboard right outside my alma mater where I graduated from, and people still know me and all this kind of stuff, man. And I had like 250 people there to see me fight, man.
Yeah.
And they all went home disappointed.
Because we've always been the bad guys going on the road and beating up on everybody and getting booed.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
We never get to fight at home, man. We had a chance to have a fight at home, and then
that's rough.
Yeah,
I still can't believe that a fucking half an hour before the fight.
Dude, it's awful.
That's garbage, man.
It's terrible.
Yeah, and then Mike's one loss, I don't make excuses for a lot of guys, but you got sucker punched by Brad Machine Gun Kelly. We almost they had to hold me, Mark, and Justin back because we wanted to jump into the cage and fight that guy and kind of Nick Diaz kind of shit, because he went to glove touch Mike like this and then winged an overhand right after Mike had been dominating him in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So that's why I never glove touch anymore. Because of that.
I was a little lackadaisical on it. It's some, check yourself at all times, be aware. I had also gotten a little tired, man, but it's a fight I was winning. It's funny, I had four losses as an amateur, right? Actually, all 4 of them are fights I should have won, but I was beating all 4 of the guys I lost to, and then as an amateur, you're learning how to fight, right? So you do stupid stuff, so the guy I lost to was actually my first loss, the guy Brad Kelly. Same kind of thing actually. We were fighting. I was beating him, and I ended up making a mistake and getting tired, and I pulled him out. I pulled him on top of me and mount. He I wasn't hurt, but he punched me a few times, and I didn't answer. I was just covering up, which again, like I said, I wasn't hurt, but they'll stop an amateur fight short. And then again, same thing. So then we had a pro fight, and it was my first time going 5-minute rounds, which I was in pretty good shape, but I had put out a lot of energy in those first 2 rounds, and if I'd have came a little harder in that last second, just bringing that last round, I'd have been fine.
But you were also fighting at 55, which is your natural weight class. You're a lot more suited for 45 than you are 55. A 5'6", 155er, that doesn't come around that often.
Yeah, I was also I was a lot lighter than the guy. And that's part of what cost me a lot of my energy is being the smaller guy
and taking him down,
and I had a lot of ground and pound in the fight, but it happens, man. Learning experience, I'm on a 4-fight win streak since then. So,
but there's so many dudes like Jose Aldo lost his first pro fight.
Right.
Morales lost his first pro fight.
Right.
And people go on a tear after that first loss. You're another animal now. You murdered Bobby Ledkins with those elbows.
Yeah, that wasn't good for me.
And then you basically you ended up on America's Most Wanted, but luckily you're a cop, so you're above the law. Knocked that one guy out in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So
my career is it's trending in the right direction right now. Hopefully I'll get one of these management companies to sign me soon, and then look at some of these bigger promotions, LFA, maybe the Contender Series. Looking at stuff like that. So.
Well, you had that one guy pull out on you.
I had 3 guys in LFA pull out on me, man. There were 2 guys, and then one guy, they offered me a fight on 1 day's notice, but I had to drive to Dallas. That was a 9.5-hour drive, and I have a full-time job, man. I can't take off in 1 day and drive 9.5 hours and cut weight and be ready to fight, so I couldn't take that one. But man, I was supposed to fight for LFA in Phoenix in January. And so they offered me the fight late notice. I took it on like a week and a half's notice. I accepted the fight. And then, so that was like Thursday or Friday, right? They offered me the fight. I accepted, I'm preparing to get ready to go to Phoenix the next week. Well, that like Monday or Tuesday, the guy decided he didn't want to fight me, right? And he picked somebody I think he thought would be an easier fight, which the guy he picked was a friend of mine from California at Team Quest, Jordan Winsky. It was actually, and I think that fight was at 45 too, but Jordan's actually at 35, but he's like 8-1, 7-1 as a 35. So, and I was at the time I was like 3-1, I think. So I don't know why he would have thought a guy with 4 or 5 more wins would have been an easier fight. I don't know, but Jordan's a little skinnier too than I am. But Jordan went out and finished him in the first round. So I was like, that's what that guy gets. I don't even remember what the guy's name is now. I don't care. But Jordan kicked his ass, and then Jordan hits Sam Alvey with the Stone Cold Stunner and got retweeted by Steve Austin. So everybody won, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
do you have any sponsors you want to shout out?
Randy James Construction, Fit Body Boot Camp in Mobile on Hillcrest, Rock and Roll Sushi.
Best sushi on the Gulf Coast.
Heck yeah, man. If you come to the Gulf Coast, you gotta come. You come to Mobile, you gotta check out Rock and Roll Sushi. It's delicious. They got a Buddha statue with a mohawk, so
Okay.
That's how you know it's cool, right? Like,
yep.
If you see a Buddha statue, yeah, a little flavor. So yeah, shout out to my sponsors. Thank you guys for putting up with me and helping me out, guys. Oh, also Rick's Sporting Goods on Old Shell Road. They're making my T-shirts and all that kind of stuff, man. So.
Nice. That's awesome. So, I mean, you mentioned training with Dan Henderson, with Endo. Justin was telling me about a story that you had with him, like grappling with him. He said, it was like trying to move that beam.
Yeah, man,
building right there.
First, right? So he comes in, he works out with the pro team, right? And my first couple times there, he didn't come in, and then he comes in, and I'm like, oh shit, that's Dan Henderson, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I played football, I played basketball, and I trained with like a lot of college stars are now in the NFL. And one of the things was like, act like you're one of them, don't be a fan, right? Like that was the thing. Like I did a camp at USC, and when I was in high school, and Pete Carroll was the coach, and he's like, okay, you guys are gonna be around these guys, no pictures, no autographs, none of that stuff. Act like these are your peers, right? So when you go to I try to take that with me, but like the first time meeting Dan Henderson, I was like, oh shit, dude. Yeah. That's him though, right? Yeah. I was like and so then like we're going, and this one he's getting ready for Michael Bisping. No, that was actually the first time. Yeah, he's sparring with me, right? Me and Dan are sparring, and I'm just like, oh shit, it's Dan Henderson, right? And I like just stop there. He's like punching me in the face, right? And then so finally I like get my wits together, and we're sparring, you know what I mean? He's obviously taking it easy on me. But then I had him up against I had him back. He was backing up. I had him towards the wall, right? And I go to shoot, thinking I'll get my hands underneath his hips, and I'll catch him by surprise, right? Because he's Dan Henderson. He's not expecting some featherweight to shoot on him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Man, I shot into him, and like most people, even like bigger people, I'm a pretty strong guy. I can move people back, right? Even if I'm not getting the takedown, I can move people back. Like I shot into Dan, and it was like shooting into like a wall, right? And he didn't even like sprawl. He didn't like really turn. He kind of just like planted his hip, dude. And I shot it to him, and I like bounced off. I was like, oh shit. It's like, and I was like, no, man, no. I'm thinking in my head, no. Surely I messed up. Because I'm thinking maybe he's still off the wall. So I'm thinking, did he plan on the wall? And like, is that why I couldn't move him? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I should at least be able to push him back. Yeah. Right? Nah, dude. So we're going again. I stood up, and then like. I shoot again, and this time I know he's not on the wall, right? This time I got him. I'm at least gonna get into his hips, right? Dude, I shot in, and like thought I was gonna get into his hips, and like again he doesn't sprawl. He kind of just like plants his foot, and like I just end up like turning onto my back like this, dude. And I'm like, all right, man, I'm just not gonna do it. He was like, those are pretty good shots, and I was like, man, get out of here. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to compliment me. Yeah, he's trying to make me. Yeah, he was like, that was pretty good.
But I mean, that's a two-time Olympian too. So,
yeah, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, all relative in that respect.
Yeah, exactly. He said he was impressed at what he saw, which hey, I'll take the compliment, right?
Absolutely,
I'll take the compliment, dude.
Yeah.
It's definitely a hit to your confidence, man. When you shoot on somebody, they don't sprawl, you get in deep, and then you end up falling on your back, and they're just standing there, kind of like, come on, man, get up. You know what I mean? Like just kind of looking down at you, like. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you laying on the ground?
But if it's gonna beat anybody,
Yeah.
at least let it be to a world champion.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely,
multiple different promotions.
Yeah,
So,
and he's just super cool guy, super nice, man. He I was out there at Team Quest. I went out there a couple times before I moved back to California for a while. And I was out there for like 6 months, and they welcomed me and they treated me just like one of their guys, man. So I really like those guys. They've got a great like family environment over there, and like I said, Dan, Sam, Gustavo is the boxing coach over there. Those guys are all really good, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when you were taking one of those right hands, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, dude.
I'm getting hit by an H-bomb.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. You're like thinking about it. You're sparring, whatever, and then he hits you with one. You're like, oh shit. And then I'm a 45er, so he's obviously not putting everything into hitting me, man. But I actually saw him. I watched him spar with Sam Alvey, and I watched him spar with Sean Strickland, man. And I remember, and Sean Strickland's is a young dude, man. He's gorilla strong, big guy, man. He's huge 70.
He's like
huge
18-2, right?
Yeah, 18-2, 18-3. Yeah, he's a big guy. So he's sparring with Sean is sparring with Dan, getting ready for Bisping, right? And they're sparring, man. And then he caught Sean coming in with an H-bomb, dude. And I saw it. Like, I saw the impact. Like, and like I said, Sean's been fighting a long time. Sean's a high-level guy, man. And I saw it, like, head snap back and everything. I was like, oh shit, that's the punch, right? And Sean, man, he had to sit out for a few minutes after that. He had a minor concussion from that, and that was with the training like 18-ounce gloves on, man. Like that was still probably not everything that he had on it. You know what I mean? And it was crazy to see one actually go live like that, man. It was awesome, man. Training, being on the mat with him, and rolling with him, learning from him, like, you know what I'm saying? We're practicing takedowns, and fucking Dan Henderson is coaching you or telling you did a good job. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm practicing with other guys, obviously, and that's a resource that not a lot of people have. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's an experience. It was a great experience, man. It's a great experience. So I really love training there. I'm hoping to go back there at the end of July and do some more training with them for a week or so. They just got a good system, yeah. I really the boxing coach there, Gustavo Pujalis, he's awesome, man. He really opened up my game, my striking game with my footwork, and he helped me really unlock a lot of my power. That he really taught me how to let my punches go even better, because in boxing you can just turn them over and not worry about getting taken down in MMA. So I wasn't turning my punches all the way over up until that point, really. So going, drilling with him and his drills and stuff like that really unleashed my power, I guess. And it's helped me a lot since then, man. I've been hitting a lot harder since training with them. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Have you guys seen the bobblehead doll, or I think it's MMA bobbleheads or something like that, the company that makes them, but they actually have the pose of Hendo with the H-bomb, from that Bisping fight.
Yeah, I have seen that because Dan has one. I follow him on Instagram. He put it on. He put it on Instagram, man. So I've seen that.
I just thought it was crazy. They're just making one. I think it's available for order now or something like that. Of a Chuck one.
Oh, really?
With the.
I really actually like that. And my so after my fight, I fought in October down in Island Fights in Pensacola, and won a fight. And I actually did the X-Man pose, and they took a picture of it. And one of my friends, he was able to screenshot it actually from the video of the fight. Okay. And then he put it through an app, and it's turned it into kind of my logo, man. It's actually really cool. So that's on the front of my shirts. It's kind of my X-Man pose. And I had been working out with this guy, man. He's a great strength and conditioning coach. My back's all ripped, right? And then the picture comes through, so then the logo comes through. I'm just like this, and you see all these back muscles.
That's awesome. So, speaking of which, where can people follow you online?
You can follow me online on Facebook at Iron Mike Barnett. Also on Instagram at Mikey Fights.
Mikey Fights. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. And then Justin, how about yours?
All right. So Facebook, Justin Osborn, and then Instagram, justin.osborn.712.
So Justin, I mean, it's been a pretty incredible spring that you guys have had with your run over at Landau with a lot of your athletes and everything. With your coaching and everything on that side of things. Talk to us about how that's kind of materialized throughout the last couple of months.
So with the coaching at Landau Performance, it really has opened up my eyes to just the finer details of strength and conditioning. Like I really like their warm-up routine that they have going there. They really set the posture of the athlete correctly, and then they get their hips in line as well. It's hard to explain in layman's terms, but that's, if you ever have Augie or Eric Telly on, or Nate Smock on your podcast, they could explain the finer details to you, because obviously they've been working with that system for a long time. But I mean, all the fighters that they've prepared at Landau Performance over the past year, they've had a 75% winning rate. So obviously what they have going on there is, fantastic. I mean,
it's an incredible efficiency rate.
Yeah.
To have 75% close rate, that's incredible.
Yeah, and obviously, that I've always believed this, and it's actually in Joel Jamieson's book, Ultimate MMA Conditioning. That conditioning is the number one weapon in fighting. So you take that, you take a really talented fighter. I mean, he may have great technique or what have you, but if he gasses in the fight, his technique starts to go really quickly. And I mean, Mike could tell you about that too. Once that gas goes, your technique gets sloppy. Your footwork goes to shit. Once you lose that gas tank, you better hope you catch him or something, because it's going to be a long night.
He runs out of time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, a lot of great stuff. I mean, we had Landau Performance also had their most first round draft picks in this past NFL Combine also, and the most draft picks in free agent signings also from this past NFL Combine. So just getting to work that internship over there was very eye-opening for me, because not only just to learning the technical aspects of the exercise routines, but learning the approach that each athlete has, from the highest levels of the NFL to MMA to whichever, or in professional baseball. Seeing their like the athletes' approaches. Like, some guys are a little more happy-go-lucky, some guys are a little more like tight to the vest and serious. So just seeing like what the highest level guys do of each sport, you can kind of pick out what those traits are from each of those athletes, and then try to work on it yourself, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just picking, making your own melting pot of all the best of what you see. That's awesome, man. I mean, I'm sure it was an incredible opportunity to just be in the mix of, some of the best within this region. That can only help you get better, I feel like.
Absolutely, and that's something I'm going to be taking down with me when Mike helps me move back down to Mobile. So, it's going to be tremendous. Because what's going on with my life right now is I'm going to be in Mobile for about 4 or 5 months, and then I'm going to go out to Anaheim after that, because I took a job opportunity out there that would help me. It would help me because I could make my own schedule, so then I could kind of play with it however I wanted to where life wouldn't be as stressful. Because I think the biggest thing I saw from all athletes, doesn't matter what sport, baseball, football, MMA, what have you, at Landau Performance, the guys that were the least mentally stressed tended to perform better. They had everything together. Obviously on the field they have everything together, but they have everything together off the field, to where they have a clear mind and a clear spirit, to where they can just let it go. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to relax when you have stuff like with your job or what have you stressing you out. It's hard to let it flow and just let it go. It's easier said than done. So to me, with this job opportunity, I think it'll help me let it go a lot more, and it's gonna help me reach my full potential as a fighter. And then also too, I'm planning on starting my Twitch channel. I actually just got my gaming computer the other day, and I'm gonna buy some more of the supplies. And I'm gonna probably launch that in August. Is what I'm planning.
Nice. So, do you have a fight on the books or anything that you're looking at as far as a date?
Well, we're looking at
or time frame at least.
We're looking at making my pro debut July 21st, but nothing's been finalized or anything like that. We're still kind of in talks, so because you got to make sure you got to make sure that you're getting the right deal for you too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
a couple things we're talking about, trying to get him on this Atlas fights in Biloxi. We're looking at waiting on some options. We got one option. We don't really like it that much, so not as far as opponent or anything like that. Just really, it's because they wanted to fight. They came up with another amateur fight, but Justin's 6-1, 7-1, so he doesn't really need another amateur fight.
Two straps.
Yeah, 2-time amateur champion. There's no real need for him to fight
in two
amateur.
very different regions too.
Yeah, in 2 different regions of the country. So we're looking at trying to get him a good, a matchup at lightweight, or depending on who it is, maybe even 70, just as a pro debut. We want, it's a pro debut, so you're not going to get paid a whole lot, but we want,
to at least make it
fairly good. Yeah, want to make it worth his time taking off. You know what I mean? Like some of these guys for their pro debut, they'll offer 3-3, right? And I'm like, 3-3, dude. He can, go to work and make 3-3. You know what I mean? He can go to work and not get punched in the face and just train and still get paid 3-3. So
yeah,
we're looking at trying to get the right pay, really. Once we get that part straightened out, we'll deal with the rest of it.
So for, that's something that we've talked about a little bit on the show, but not a whole lot in depth. So when you say 3-3 for the people that are out there listening, could you kind of describe exactly what that is?
Yeah, so 3-3 just means 3 to show, 3 to win, right?
300 to show.
300 to show, right? Because 3,000 to show and 3,000 to win that's a good fight. That's good pay on a regional level. Excuse me. So like if you're making 3K and 3K around, anywhere under like an LFA, well, I guess RFA's gone, but under like an LFA Lion fight, even as a 3-3 Titan FC, yeah, anything under that level, if you're making 3-3, 3K and 3K, then you're doing pretty well. So yeah, it's like as someone making your pro debut, your first fight is generally somewhere in the 5-5, 6-6, 500, 6-6. Depending on what your amateur record was, right, and what you can sell as far as tickets and where you live, where you fly. So like, if you're fighting, let's say you're from the area of like Biloxi, Mississippi, right, the Gulf Coast, since that's where we live. We'll just use that area, right? If you're from Biloxi and you're gonna have the show is Atlas Fights in Biloxi, if you can sell, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 worth of tickets, so it's $25 a pop, maybe a couple tables. Their tables are $800. You sell 2 or 3 tables, and you can get 20, 30, 40 of your family and friends to show up. You've made the promotion good money, right? Like that's close to $3,000 that you made the promotion, right? So by making $3,000 for them, that's not including what they're gonna make on food and drinks, right? Because your family's gonna come, they're gonna drink, right? They're probably gonna eat. Okay, so the promotion makes close to $4,000 off you, right? You can say, okay, look, I'm gonna bring 70 people, right? I'm gonna bring 70 people, and I'm gonna sell 3 $800 tables. Even though it's my pro debut, I'm not gonna fight for 4 and 4, right? You want me to fight on your show, right? So I'm not gonna fight for 400 and 400. I need to make 6 and I can demand 650 or 700, 7 and 7, right? You can demand 7 and 7. You cost the promotion $1,400 plus whatever if you're from there, they're not paying for a room for you, so you can demand 7 and 7, and you cost the promotion $1,400 to fight, but you made them close to $4,000, so they come out ahead $2,600 off one fighter, right? So if they have 10 fights, they have 8 local guys in 10 fights, and generally there's probably 12 or 13 fights. So let's go with let's go with 12 fights. So they have 12 fights, 8 local guys each sell, close to 4,000, 5,000 tickets. Plus the main event guy is going to be a local guy. He's going to sell even more than that, right? He's probably going to sell $7,000 or $8,000 in tickets and tables and stuff like that. They've made all this money off these local guys. These local guys are going to get paid more, right? So, and then also, right, if you sell a bunch of tickets in most places, they bring in easier matchups for you. I mean, that's just because they want you to win, right? Your family and friends don't want to come and watch you lose.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
right. They want to keep on making that
right, they want to keep on making that money. So you sell a bunch of tickets, for the promotion. The promotion and the matchmaker finds you a guy that you're more likely, I won't call it, because anything can happen in there, right? That you're more likely to beat, right? So, and that's how a lot of guys build their records in moving up at this lower level.
Hence why everybody doesn't want to fight us, because
right.
they're like, well,
right.
we're fighting these guys. They're not, we're not likely to win, so
right.
we're gonna take a pass on you guys.
Right.
So
which is why we have a hard time getting fights sometimes.
Yeah, and it's a little BS, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Because I've said this a bunch of times. What's happening right now at the UFC, where guys are saying no, like the Yair Rodriguez situation, that's a little different, but like a lot of guys, they say no, I won't fight that guy, but I'll fight that guy. That keeps it trickles down.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where it's like it's trickling down to that local level, to where like it's limiting other guys' opportunities to fight.
Yeah.
Whereas like at that local regional level, you need guys to say yes,
right?
For everybody
to get fights.
Everybody to get fights.
You're not gonna get fights without people willing to fight, right? That just makes sense.
Like we keep,
granted, I'm just a guy from the outside looking in. I don't have any skin in the game by any means, but I feel like until you put yourself into an established position, like who are you to turn away those sort of fights and that
right.
if you're trying to make your build. I could see, if you're at the point to where, like where Nate Diaz is at right now, turning down some of these, some of these fights that just don't make sense for someone like him to take. And
right.
I kind of agree with his quote that he said, I'm not fighting just anybody anymore because I am a pro fighter. Like
right.
he's established
right.
himself to the point where it doesn't take anything.
There's two sides to that, right? Like even at this regional level, right? Somebody, as long as the pay is right, as long as you're getting paid, well, right? Like a guy like me, right? I'm 4-1, right? I should fight other guys around 4-1, right? But would I take a fight with a guy that's like 17-0 or something like that? It's like already got more experience, right? You don't want to give up more experience like that for like not the right amount of pay, right? Like I wouldn't fight somebody who's like got 17 pro fights already for the same money that I would fight somebody with 8 pro fights, right? Because they have just a few more fights than me, right? I'm giving up a lot of experience going into that, and fighting is like 95% experience, right? So like at this regional level, you need to be trying to find guys around your record that promotions don't have to pay you. They shouldn't pay you, $3K and $3K to fight, right? Until you can get up to that level, then you can, like you said, make those demands. Like those guys, like I think Cowboy Cerrone, he just agreed to a fight against somebody who's like
Leon Edwards.
It's like it's really like a lose-lose fight for Cowboy, right?
Just like the Jorge Masvidal fight was a total lose-lose.
Yeah.
Like I said,
but I love it.
Fight in Denver,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But he shouldn't be taking that fight a month after having a war with Matt Brown.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, because that was, he head kick knocked him out in the last round, but he had to go through some shit, as most guys have to do.
Battle.
Yeah. With Matt Brown, it's always going to be a battle. I mean, that's one thing I took away from sparring with him is like, no, you're not gonna go through a guy. You're not just gonna run over a guy like Matt Brown. It doesn't happen.
Right.
Unless you get a crazy body kick KO like Ellenberger did that one fight. But that generally isn't going to happen. You're going to have to go through some shit, to get through a guy like Matt Brown. So you go. So you're
similar.
Yeah. So you go. So you go through a war with Matt Brown, and then take a a fight a month later against a guy like as tough as Jorge Masvidal, which I mean he had just came up from lightweight, but people didn't really know how good he was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until he fought Cowboy, but it's like that's just not worth it, man. When you're at that
at that level, like everybody, Cowboy's on everybody's favorite fighter list, right? Like everybody loves Cowboy. I'll fight anybody anytime, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that we like that. But like as also a fan of Cowboy, while I like that, I want him to continue to be successful, right?
Right.
So I would like for him to be a little more like selective, and he's earned that right? You earn that right to be a little selective. I would love to see Cowboy use that right that he's earned to be a little more selective. But then like let's say like Zabit versus Yair, right? First off, they end up booking the fight. Zabit is going to walk through Yair. He's just got no basics, right?
He's scary.
Yeah.
Fucking good.
Yeah, he
is scary good.
on the feet and on the ground.
Yeah.
I think, but like Yair is a 6 foot featherweight that doesn't have a jab or a cross.
Right. No jab, no cross at all. If you go back, everybody listen to this. Go back and watch Yair versus Frankie Edgar and count the number of jabs. Okay, count the number of jabs Yair threw at the 5'6" Frankie Edgar and see how many it was, because it's like close to 0, if it's more than 5, right? And you just saw in the fight, he's got no jab, he's got no basics, right? And against Zabit, that's gonna. I mean, they were gonna get him hurt, right? They're building Zabit off of Yair, right? Young prospects put them together now, but they're still paying Yair, right? Low level, entry level money, right? But the fight against Zabit is not a low level entry level money fight. You know what I'm saying? So his camp's like, no, we're not taking that fight for this money, and then Dana White cuts him. If it was me, if I can't get the money, that's fine, because in the long run, right? Yair's still, athletic guy. He's like a young guy. He's got plenty of time to get better. He's 25. He's got plenty of time.
If you think about it, what does Yair even have to lose? I mean, obviously, like it's if he were
can't take
to
too many
lose.
more beatings like the one he took
No,
against
he can't.
Frankie.
And he's
You-
gonna
you-
take
you
one.
talked about getting the fight beaten out of you. If he takes too many more like
And
that,
You're gonna have problems.
He's gonna take one
But-
against Zabit.
Yeah, or Sabit might sub him.
Yeah.
Which I think that's the most likely outcome. Zabit by submission, because I think Zabit is a phenomenal talent. Like, but I think he also Zabit's got a phenomenal ground game, right? And he's
So
good.
calm.
Yeah, but on the feet he's wild, which is why he's fun to watch. But when you're wild like that, when you face a striker like we'll just say Max Holloway, you face a striker like Max Holloway, he's gonna make you pay for being wild.
Yeah.
But Zabit's got that ground game,
Right.
to where he can maybe get away with being a little wild on the feet.
Right. But Yair doesn't have the
Yeah,
basics that Holloway has.
Yeah.
Right. And Zabit has the straight punches that Yair doesn't have. Right. He's wild with the hooks, wild with the kicks, because he's kind of got a little karate flair to him. But Zabit doesn't have. Yair doesn't have the basic part of it to counter that. Right. To make him pay with that, the head movement, the basic boxing part of it. Right. So they're trying to sign, Zabit and Yair's people are like, okay, well, Yair doesn't need to take this fight for this same money, because, like I said, Zabit isn't ranked yet, but I mean, I think he's got 15 wins, 6 subs, and 6 knockouts, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's in three decisions, something like that. I just looked at this the other day. So you're gonna fight a guy who's already contender level talent, right?
Right.
For prospect level money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And at the end of the day, yeah, we're fighters and we're trying to be world champions and we're here for the glory, but we got to get paid, right? Because you only got so many.
Right.
You know what I mean? You talk about wars, right? Jair's going to have to make it a war to have a chance, right? So you only got so many. You should not take a war type fight that you're the underdog, right? And I'm looking at it as a heavy underdog, right? For prospect level money,
Right.
Especially once, because I don't know how many fights Yair has in the UFC now, but he's probably still close to the 8-8 that they start you out with, maybe a little more than that, and then like the 2,500 for, you know, the Reebok sponsorship or whatever it is, and he's probably got a couple others. So let's say he probably makes, you know, $20,000, $25,000 to fight, right? But that's a fight that afterwards he's probably going to be out for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if he wins, he's going to suffer some damage in that fight, unless, you know, he gets a quick flash knockout or something like that. So he's going to suffer this damage. He's going to sit out, right? And people think, oh yeah, man, you know, fighters make all this money. Well, they don't. Like the average UFC fighter makes like $40,000 a year, right? So most of you out there, you know, at your regular job, you make more than that, right? But the potential, you know, the earning potential is obviously greater for some of these guys. So Yair loses on his earning potential. He sits out on his actual earnings, right? And then also he sits out of fighting, so he loses even more earning potential, right? Because, you know, when you lose in an MMA, it's not as bad as in boxing, right? In boxing, you get 2-3 losses, you know,
you're a bum.
You're a bum. You're no longer a prospect or a contender. In MMA, you can take 2 or 3 losses and then bounce back, right? But you have a greater chance of, you know, injury. You know, like, you know, you're gonna fight less, right? You gotta fight to make money, right? That's why Cowboy fights all the time. Sam Alvey fights all the time, right? I gotta fight to make money, right? I might have a side coaching job somewhere, but I'm not making any money if I'm not fighting. So Yair's gonna take this fight for, you know, this tougher fight for this same low level money, and probably be out, and probably get injured. So he's not gonna get the fight again this year. So he may not make, you know, he may not get a 3rd, 4th fight in this year, right? So then he's losing all this money. So, yeah, it's cost him. Right, exactly. So it's gonna cost him. You know, he's gonna make $25,000 if he wins, right? But then it could cost him in the long run 50, 60, 70 grand because he's sitting out. Right. You know what I mean? And then you've got the insurance part of it that he's not gonna have to pay, you know, get himself checked out and all this kind of stuff. So in that situation, them asking for more money, I totally get, right? I mean, it only makes sense for you to ask for more money. Now, most of the time, now you're talking contender versus contender already. Like, we're both contenders, right? The cream has got to rise to the top. So those guys have got to fight each other. You know what I mean? Once you're a contender, you're making contender money, then you've got to take the fights they give you, right? But in that sense, where they're sending somebody that, like I said, he's gonna be the
lamb to slaughter.
Yeah, they're sending him off like that. No, I would have demanded more money too to take that fight for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's still a business, right? Like, people think, oh, it's a sport and all this kind of stuff. It's still a business, right? I mean, if you look at the way they matched Conor McGregor, right? He fought Marcus Brimage, Diego Brandao,
Max Holloway.
Max Holloway.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was like
Young
Max Holloway
Holloway.
before he, like, when they fought, Max Holloway had no training camp, no coach, no formal even building to train in. Like, he was just, which is a credit to Max, right? That he even got to that level without any of that stuff, right? So he
tore his ACL.
yeah, Conor, they were both injured. So
Yeah,
Max like broke his foot or something.
Yep.
Or his ankle, something like that. And,
Lower leg, something. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
and Conor tore his ACL.
Yeah.
So then he got
Diego Brandao.
Diego Brandao, Dennis Seaver, and then I think is when he got
Dennis Seaver.
No, he got
straight disrespectful.
No, he got Dustin Poirier.
Dustin Poirier, right?
Before Dennis
Seaver,
Seaver, which is that was a nasty one.
Yeah, and as soon as he just straight up
Seaver.
embarrassed Seaver, that's when he did the cage hop with Aldo, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then he gets Mendez on 1 week notice.
Right, so Max Holloway was a tough fight, right? He walked through Brandao. He was gonna walk through Brimage. We all knew that. I mean, those guys were. Brimage is like what, 5'3", maybe 5'4". I don't know. He's not much taller than me. If he's I don't think he's as tall as me, and I'm only like 5'6.5", 5'7", right? So he's not as tall as me. Brandao is like 5'3", right? So and then Seaver is like 5'6", but he's like 40 something, right? So and then he caught Dustin, right? Which I still think. I mean, I think at 40, I think at 55 if they fought again, I think it's a tougher fight. I still think Conor wins. So he had Dustin. Yeah, he had Dustin, Max, and then Aldo. Right, he had 3 like actual tough fights. The other 3 fights were like simple fights as they were building a contender. You know what I mean?
He had trouble at points with Mendez though. Too.
Yeah, he did. I mean,
Mendez took him down almost.
I said this from the beginning that Mendez on a full camp makes it a lot more interesting.
I was talking about this with Lionheart last week, that if they didn't call that fight because he got the finish just a couple of seconds before the buzzer for the end of that round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get that and they go to a third,
it's different.
That's interesting because you give Mendez another chance to take him back down because, I mean, what was it? At least 2 takedowns alone in that second round at that point where he had gotten him down and he had kind of had his will with him at the ground point.
He was having his way with him when he got in and wanted to take him down. I mean, there's a point where he's holding him down, ground and pounding, and Conor looks up at Herb and's like, "What are you doing?" And Herb's like, "No, he's fighting. You fight too." You know what I mean? Conor was able to get up. Credit to Conor, right? But Mendez was in that fight early. Mendez was in that fight. Conor was landing his shots. I mean, the body work was good, and even if Mendez was on a full camp, the body work was going to catch up, right? Because without fail, it always does, right? But he'd been able to take a lot more of those without that would have taken less from him. It'd have taken longer for it to pay off if Mendez had a full camp, right? And he was like training, but he was like off hunting at the time they called him. You know what I mean?
But also too, he would have been able to shoot a lot more with those takedowns and be a lot more explosive and not he wouldn't have.
It wouldn't have cost him so much gas to shoot. Yeah, for sure.
But bottom line is you gotta. At the end of the day, with fighters, you have to do what makes sense for you.
Right.
At the end of the day, there's stuff that's gonna make sense for the promotion, and more so than you. Maybe it makes more sense for you than the promotion, or sometimes it's equal. You know, so
transactional relationship for sure.
Exactly, because we're independent contractors at the end of the day. We're not employees. That's where everybody gets messed up with UFC fighters. They talk about Dana White suspending Conor for throwing a dolly. He can't actually suspend him because he's not an employee. He's an independent contractor. He can fine him and take money off his next purse, right? But he can't actually suspend him like he's in a league, like in the NFL. So
he cannot book him.
Right, exactly. He cannot book him.
I guess that's kind of your suspension.
That's your suspension.
Yeah, right.
Right, it's to not be booked. But I mean, we all know that if Conor wanted to fight right now, he'd be fighting. We all know that.
Exactly.
But yeah, speaking about Dana, he mentioned that they're moving the weigh-ins from the morning to the afternoon, back to what they used to do. I know me and Mike were talking about this, and I mean, obviously we never had morning weigh-ins, but I talked to Mark Montoya about it, and he said he hated it because you had to be on weight the night before, the fight, which it screws up your sleep cycle and all that stuff. But I mean, what me and Mike keep talking about, and I'm going to keep harping on this, we need to do what ONE FC does and just ban weight cutting. Like, if you don't want any of these problems with like Darren Till missing, because the thing about
Sean O'Malley was talking about that on the most recent Rogan show.
Yeah, because think about it. It makes sense for both the promotion and the fighters, because the promoter doesn't have to worry about the fighter missing weight, number one. The fighter doesn't have to worry about cutting weight, number two. Number three, you're going to get better performances and actually get their fullest athletic potential because you're not depleting them to near death the night before.
Yeah, Justin always talks about this when you talk about guys cutting weight. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, right? We'll talk about like Darren Till, right? He's at least walks around 220 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Can may need to just cut off a leg to make 170, right? And he's still been putting on good performances. But I went back and watched all of his UFC fights. He gassed in the second round of every one of his previous performances in the UFC. He gassed, and the guy's in shape. You can look at him, tell he's fit, right? He rehydrates and comes back in. He still doesn't have a bunch of fat on him.
But he can't throw volume.
He can't throw volume. He doesn't throw combinations either, right?
But at 85, maybe he could do that.
At 85, I think exactly he could do that. So
he'd be a different monster at 85.
And he's still a monster at 70 when he makes it. But man, if he was at 85, he would likely be more explosive much longer. You know what I mean? So
I feel he would stack up against guys, because I mean, that's a pretty big jump. That's a 15-pound gap, because then you start talking about guys like Rockhold, who's a fucking horse.
Well, he's actually
or Yoel Romero, or guys like
that. He's already that size though, right? It's not like he's a 5'10" guy, 5'9" guy that at that weight, right?
But
he's 6 foot 6'1" already. So he's the same height as a lot of those guys.
But think about it like this. I've been watching this trend in fighting for a while now. Guys are starting to go up, right? They're the lighter guy, but they're starting to dominate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
go ahead.
Oh, speaking of weight cutting, though, we got a pretty crazy weight cutting story.
Oh, yeah,
we got to give you.
Yeah, and one more thing. When you had Justin on before, I listened, and you guys talked about amateurs throwing elbows.
Okay.
Right? I've been waiting on this. And he said that amateurs should throw elbows. The main reason amateurs shouldn't throw elbows is that if you get cut, you can't fight, and you're not getting paid, right? So amateurs should not throw elbows.
Agree to disagree.
Until they're at least advanced. And even I think if you're an advanced amateur, so like some states have advanced amateurs, right? Like, novice amateurs, less than 4 or 5 fights, and then you get to be advanced, you get 5, 6, 7 fights, right? So at that point, I think if they put some elbow pads on, amateurs should throw elbows. But if you're not getting paid to fight, you shouldn't have to worry about like bad cuts from fighting. They keep you out of fighting. When you're fighting for experience like that, I don't think that's something you should have to worry about. At least the cutting part of it. I didn't mean to say that since you had it last time. Okay.
Okay, but speaking of weight cutting stories,
yeah.
This isn't even related to actually cutting weight. Like nobody had a near-death experience during this weight cut. So we're at Omni Fitness in Mobile, and we're doing our thing, cutting weight.
It's
right?
me, Justin, our buddy
Mark Coker, and Justin Prescott. So we're all in there, right? We're doing what we gotta do. We're in the sauna. We're coming out of the sauna, and this guy comes up to us and he says, "Are y'all fighters?" We said, "Oh yeah, we're fighters." He said, "Oh yeah, well, my brother, he's he used to be a box professionally, and I used to tell him this all the time. Listen now, when you step inside that ring, that's your office. Now, at the office, there can only be one boss. So you've got to be the boss.
Go in there and be the boss." And the guy,
and he had one leg.
The guy's got one leg, right? Like, he's got one leg, and he's a nice guy, He's like country guy. Like, just imagine like a country guy with beard and like long hair, almost like Joe Dirt with one leg, but like 60 years old, right? So 60-year-old Joe Dirt with one leg, and just
so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, is this the weight cut speaking to me right now, or is this actually happening? But then the guy keeps repeating to us, there can only be one boss.
Yeah, so we're like sitting there on the floor, like we've all come out of the sauna, like just hot and like sweating. We're like about on weight, but so when you do sauna rounds, right, you take a break. So we're like in a break if we're not done, and we're all just like kind of sitting on the floor, laying around this guy. Like, none of us are responding, because, like, when you're cutting weight, you don't want to talk, right? Like, I'll listen to somebody talk. But, like, tell me a story, fine, but don't expect any feedback from me, because I'm just thinking about, like, not just saying, forget all this shit and going home, right? So this guy, he's just standing there with his one leg and his mullet and his beard, dude, looking like Joe Dirt. And he's just like, go in there and be the boss. There can only be one boss. And like for like 5 straight minutes, the guy doesn't go away.
Exactly what he said too.
For like the whole 5 straight minutes, nobody and like people are like walking in and out like behind him. You know what I mean? Because we're like in a gym, so it's like just like a changing locker room, or whatever. And guys are like walking out. The guy just standing there. Yep, one boss for like 5 straight minutes, dude. We're all just sitting there like is this real? Like, are we hallucinating? Right? Like, we have the same hallucination because we're like sick of being in the sauna and sick of cutting weight. But yeah, dude, it's really funny.
If everybody has the same hallucination, it's probably happening.
Yeah, it's probably happening, dude.
So for all the people that are watching and listening to this, just remember, there can only be one boss, and it's got to be you.
It's got to be you when you go in there. It was really funny.
There can only be one boss.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, man.
So as we kind of start to wrap up here, we don't want to keep Austin waiting too long. Is there any last words that that you want to share, or words of wisdom that you want to share with the people out there listening?
Yeah, guys, pay attention to the Contender Series coming up. I got a couple friends fighting. Christopher Curtis out of Team Quest, he's gonna fight next week. He's actually I think he's the first main event. Second week,
Tyler Zombie Hill, baby.
Tyler Zombie Hill, the Mississippi Zombie. Alan Belcher MMA, Diablo, Mississippi. Good buddy of mine. He's going to fight. He's been training his butt off, man. It's a really good dude. Our guy, Justin Prescott, he's going to be fighting for LFA June 22nd, maybe?
Straight up killer.
Yeah,
he's finished every one of his fights in the first round.
Yep.
Only one of them was
in the second round. 7 straight finishes, man. That guy's nasty everywhere. Yeah, 7 straight, 6 in the first round. against undefeated guys, man. He just beat a really tough dude up in near Memphis, Tunica, Mississippi, right near Memphis. Ryan Red Hot Collins. He was undefeated, 5 or 6-0. And so we got Justin coming up, Prescott coming up. Justin Pancake Prescott. Check him out on Facebook. Then we'll have Osborn coming back up soon. Hopefully July 21st. If not, he'll be back up right after that. Our buddy Kurt Hollabaugh is fighting in UFC.
In Idaho, in Boise.
In Idaho, yeah. I think that's July something.
I think that
it is in July.
He's fighting Rayoni Barcelos. He's got a tough fight.
Just a week after International Fight Week.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Our boy who got the first Contender Series contract.
Yeah, first Contender Series contract.
Kurt Hollabaugh.
So
Baby.
you guys check out Kurt on in UFC Idaho. And just be on the lookout for us. You can follow, like I said, we gave our social media info. Also check out, like I said, Mark Coker. He's coming up. He may fight on that show with Justin July 21st. So yeah, check us out, guys. We appreciate any and all support. That's all I got.
Definitely want to say thank you guys very much for taking the time to come on the show. Mike, it's been awesome having you on. You've shared a different side of the business, different side of the fight game that we haven't really peeled back the layers of the onion so far, on the money side, on the business side. So, I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing that side of things for us. So much appreciated for always having the opportunity with you guys.
Yeah.
So for everybody out there listening, make sure you go to www.cftpg.com, type in promo code Summer Sale for 10% off your order, get official comments from the Peanut Gallery merchandise. We've got everything on there from baseball shirts to tees to summer tanks, lady shirts, everything in the mix. So just trying to fuel the dream out there, try to make sure that we put on as much love for these guys as we possibly can, get their name out there.
Yeah.
So with that being said, thank you guys for watching.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And the wind is blowing, and the waves they grow tall. Poor boy sits at home just waiting for her call. And the clock strikes midnight, and the telephone rings. And on the other line he hears a sweet voice sing. And when you go, the world moves so slow. And when you go, I feel so alone. And when you go, the world moves so slow. But when you go, I feel so alone. Down. His headlights blazing as he heads towards her town. And the street lights faded, and the air was so cold. Her house up on the hill was now a pile of stone. And he hears no voices as he walks all around. The house where she once lived that had fallen to the ground. And he finds a letter, and he reads it aloud. He can only think of her as he crumbles to the ground. And when you go, the world moves so slow. When you go, I feel so alone.